Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about the importance of prioritizing hip hinging type movements. And you'll see me doing a variety of good mornings and reverse hypers throughout this video and the footage of the importance of it for athletic performance. And one of the things, and this is always one of my pet peeves, is that you see guys, and I see guys say this, and it's absolutely ludicrous when they say something like, oh, things like training your glutes or your hips is for women, okay, which is downright comical because it's for athletes. Anyone who wants to be good at any sport that requires power is who it's for, okay. Traditionally, more men compete in those sort of sports than women, and I'm not saying that's necessarily true today because things have changed dramatically. But traditionally, more men have played football, more men have been boxers, more men have been kickboxers, whatever. All these different sports that require a large amount of power have historically been more male dominated. So the statement itself is absolutely ludicrous. Number two, if we come down to mindset, how many of the guys who are making claims like this, making these absolutely ridiculous statements, train purely for their appearance? If you want to get technical, that's more of a female mindset. I'm not saying it defines you. I'm not saying that's how you would define gender or anything else, but it is mindset. Women have generally cared more about their appearance, and men care more about their performance. Okay? Just basic mindset. And that's not universally true either, but that's the general trend. So if you want to talk about even a feminine versus masculine mindset, if you're caught up in I train just to look good and don't care how I perform, well, that's kind of a feminine mindset, right? Hopefully you guys understand that. And I'm not saying, oh, you guys shouldn't care at all about how you're, that's not what I said. I talked about primary focus. Not primary focus, and there's a large difference between the two. Okay, so when you come at it from that perspective and in that context, you're already off to the wrong start, because men tend to care a little more about performance and women tend to care a little more about how they look. So let's go over to the whole point of performance. If training something really hard is going to make you more athletic and more powerful, if you wanted to associate something with a specific gender or mindset, that would be considered more masculine, right? But performance starts with the hips. Performance starts with the hips. Okay? It's very obvious when we do something like a squat or a deadlift. Hey, that becomes very, very, very clear. We can see that very clearly. We don't need to argue that any further. And in fact, if you don't learn to use your hips when you squat, you're not going to squat as much weight. You can squat more with a power squat than you can in an Olympic squat. If you have built the appropriate musculature, it uses more muscles. Now, when I say something like that, people like to chime in, well, there's an Olympic lifter who can squat a lot of weight. Yes, he can. Okay, fine. How many world records has he broken in the squat? There's people stronger than him on the squat at the same weight. Okay? Well, if he doesn't hold the world record in the back squat, then you're not making a good point at all. Because all the guys who hold the records power squat. You can squat more weight. We generate more force because we use more muscles, and when we get more hip involved, we can squat more weight. It becomes obvious on these, but when we come over and look at other sports, watch them. Watch a boxer punch. Watch Mike Tyson. Right? We had recently this last year, we had all that, the footage with Mike for that fight. Watch Mike punch. Look how much hip extension that man uses when he delivers one of those punches. that knocked a hell of a lot of people out back in the day. Watch the hip extension. Watch when he does an uppercut. You're telling me that hip extension and glutes and hips and all of that are not contributing to that man's punching power? You better look closer at what he's doing. Watch a kickboxer kick. Watch the amount of hip extension involved. When a kickboxer, a serious high-level kickboxer kicks, watch that. Okay, the power is in the hip there. I'm not saying there aren't other muscles involved. I'm not saying their core isn't involved. I'm not saying there isn't any quad involvement. But the hip, the power in their hips, is what's delivering that. It's power. Watch a sprinter. There's hip extension. Again, I'm not saying there's not quad, but that power is in the hips. Watch a baseball player or a golfer swing a bat or a club. Look at the hip extension. All right, I have a lot of clients who play golf, quite a few over on the West Coast. Okay. All the box squatting and the good mornings and things like that I have them do, they see carry over to being able to drive that ball out of the tee box. It matters. Okay. Watch a high jumper jump. Watch anyone jump. Hip extension is where the power starts. So when we say that hip extension is critical for rate of force production and basically developing power, we're not just talking about the barbell lifts. We're talking about human movement. And I'm not saying that to be a kickboxer or to be a golfer or a baseball player that you have to good morning 550 or 600 pounds. You don't have to be doing what I'm doing. I'm not saying that they have to do that. But you know what? The ability to do 300 will sure help them a lot. Doing some good mornings, putting a heavy focus on good mornings, reverse hybrids, any sort of hip hinge would behoove all of those athletes. Right? That is where we develop our power. And particularly if you're going to be in any contact sport. If you're going to be in another contact sport where you have to hit another person, right? Or when you have to swing an object. And that could be anything from baseball. That could be golf. Any sport. And there's a lot of smaller sports out there to where there's a lot of where they're swinging. Right? That's power starts in your hips in every one of those sports. Okay? Training powerful hip extensors, your glutes, your adductors, your hamstrings is of great value to you for athletic performance. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.